Front, full hybrid. Back, a hybrid vehicle that uses all electric energy to initially accelerate and propel the vehicle. Its internal combustion engine only runs when the HV battery pack becomes almost fully discharged. Full hybrids can accelerate normally, not full throttle, without consuming fuel or emitting exhaust emissions. Front, cold cranking amps CCA. Back, a rating indicates how much current the battery can deliver for 30 seconds at 0 degrees Fahrenheit -17. 8 degrees Celsius while maintaining a terminal voltage of 7.2 volts 1.2 volts per cell. This rating indicates the battery's ability to crank a specific engine, based on starter current draw, at a specified temperature. Front, the fuse controlling the brake and turn signal lights on a vehicle pulling a trailer constantly fails. Technician A says low voltage at the flasher unit or the wrong flasher could be the cause. Technician B says the fuse is not the right amperage for this combination. Who is right? Back, B only. Technician A is wrong because an incorrect flasher will not typically blow fuses. Technician B is correct because high amperage will blow fuses. Front, breakout box. Back, a device used to check electrical values at specific points in an electronic circuit. It is typically used as a last resort to finding electronic faults that cannot be found by other means. Front, fuse jumper wire. Back, jumper wire with a fuse in series used for testing live circuits. Front, voltmeter. Back, an electrical test instrument used to measure volts, unit of electrical pressure. A voltmeter is connected in parallel with the unit or circuit being tested. Front, alternating current ASE. Back, electron flow in alternating directions. An electrical signal in which current and voltage vary in a repeating sequence above and below zero. Front, diode. Back, an electronic device that allows current to flow in one direction and be blocked in the other. Front, centrifugal belt retractor. Back, part of a vehicle restraint system that uses centrifugal force to keep the seat belt from extending. If you pull on the belt hard enough, the rapid centrifugal force engages the locking mechanism so the belt holds the driver or passenger in the seat. Front, conductor. Back, a substance that allows the flow of free electrons. Most metals are good conductors. Examples include gold, silver, copper, and iron. Front, using a DMM digital multimeter. A fully charged 12-volt battery should indicate how much voltage on the open circuit voltage OCV test. Back 12.6 volts. The standard is 2.1 volts per cell and 2.1 times 6 is 12.6 volts. Front, reference voltage. Back, voltage supplied to a sensor from a vehicle's computer. The sensor's effect on the voltage becomes a signal used by the computer as input data to judge the conditions at the sensor. Front, ground. Back, the terminal of a battery connected to a vehicle's frame. Front, open circuit. Back, a complete breaker disconnection in a circuit. Front, chassis ground. Back, a method of grounding a circuit that uses the metal part of a component to attach to ground. Front, two technicians are describing battery charging. Technician A says to remove the surface charge from a recently charged battery and apply a 300 ampere load across the adapters for 15 seconds. Technician B says to remove the surface charge from batteries, which have been in storage. Who is right? Back, of only. Tech A is right because to remove the surface charge from a recently charged battery, you apply a 300 ampere load across the battery for 15 seconds or turn on all electrical accessories. Tech B is wrong because you do not remove the surface charge from batteries, which have been in storage. Front, A vehicle is equipped with automatic folding mirrors. The owner complains that while driving, one mirror would fold in without the button being depressed. Technician A says the mirrors are out of adjustment. Technician B says that mirror had been manually pushed out and did not lock. Who is right? Fact. B only. Technician B is correct because, typically, if the mirror is electrically folded inward and then manually pushed out, the mirror will not lock into position. The power folding mirrors must be electrically cycled outward, using the mirror switches to lock them in position. After cycling both mirrors inward and outward electrically, the problem will be solved. Front. Two technicians are explaining how to service a fusible link. Technician A says to pull on each end to see if it stretches. Technician B says when a fusible link melts, it's always visible. Who is right? Fact. Of only. Tech A is right because if the wire stretches when pulled on, this shows a break in the fusible link wire. Tech B is wrong because when a fusible link melts, it is not always visible. Front. Technician A says a loose serpentine alternator drive belt could cause overcharging. Technician B says undersized wiring between the alternator and the battery could cause undercharging. Who is right? Fact. B only. Technician A is wrong because a slipping belt will cause undercharging. Technician B is correct because undersized wiring will cause undercharging due to higher resistance. Front. Technician A says the Candy Controller Area Network Device Interface module used on GM vehicles will flash an LED rapidly if communication is detected. Technician B says late model vehicles use a jumper wire to connect two pins of the DLC data link connector to read diagnostic trouble codes on a scan tool. Who is right? Fact. Of only. Tech A is right because a green LED light-emitting diode will flash rapidly when communicating with the ECM engine control module. Tech B is wrong because the practice of jumping two pins in the DLC data link connector has been obsolete since 1996. Front. Two technicians are explaining how to service an audio entertainment system. Technician A says that braided ground wire is best for repair and installation to help reduce interference. Technician B says to use a larger ground wire to reduce interference. Who is right? Fact. Of only. Technician A is correct because braided wiring reduces ME electromagnetic interference. Technician B is wrong because a larger wire will not reduce interference and might increase it. Front. Battery pack state of charge SOC. Fact. The percentage of total charge in an HV battery pack. Front. System wiring diagram. Fact. A diagram that contains only the components and wires for a particular circuit. Front. Pulse width modulation PWM. Fact. Operation of a device by an on-off digital signal that is controlled by the time duration the device is turned on and off. Front. A defective halogen headlight bulb is being replaced. Why should you never touch the tip of a halogen bulb? Fact. Oil from your finger can cause shortened bulb life. Oil from your skin leaves a residue on the glass shell to the bulb. When the bulb is turned on, it begins to get hot. Much of this heat is dumped into air around the bulb and is carried away. However, when there is oil on the bulb, it begins to get heated as well. The heat is actually enough to cause oil to boil and its temperature can reach near 100 OF. This hot spot puts a great deal of heat near the glass bulb and can cause glass in the hot spot to warp and stretch. This causes a weak spot in the glass bulb which can break and thus shorten lifespan. The other choices will not happen. Front. Full fielding. Fact. The method of supplying full battery voltage to the magnetic field of a generator as part of the troubleshooting procedure for the charging system full hybrid. Front. All the gauges in the instrument panel are inoperative. Technician A says to check the sending units. Technician B says to check the fuse for the instrument panel. Who is right? Fact. B only. Technician A is wrong because one sending unit would not affect all the gauges. Technician B is correct because the fuse would affect all gauges. Front, circuit number. Back, the number, or number and letter that manufacturers use to identify a specific electrical circuit in a diagram. Front, soldering. Back, involves using heat and solder to join electric components or wires. Front, solder. Back, an alloy mixture of metals that has a relatively low melting point. It comes in roll form for easy application to a joint. Front, Technician A says an aiming screen will work on any headlight designed to aim the headlights. Technician B says mechanical aimers are used on high-intensity discharged headlights. Who is right? Back, only. Technician A is correct because the aiming screen is the tool of choice due to the many different headlight designs used. Technician B is wrong because mechanical aimers are no longer used and were never used on headlights. Front, Kirchhoff and R.S. Quo's law of current. Back, current entering a junction is the same as the total of the current leaving the junction. Front, electrical feedback is usually a result of what condition? Back, poor ground. Poor ground is correct because electricity must pass through ground and, if it cannot, it feeds back to source. High voltage in the circuit and excessive current in the circuit will not cause feedback. Front, direct current DC. Back, electron flow in one direction only. Front, charge indicator. Back, an indicator that informs the driver about the operating condition or output of the charging system. Front, circuit. Back, a closed electrical path for current. Front, scope. Back, a piece of test equipment that displays voltages in relation to time. An oscilloscope may be part of a handheld scan tool or multimeter, or it may be a standalone unit, also called an oscilloscope. Front, scan tool snapshot. Back, an instantaneous scan tool reading of operating parameters that are present when a problem occurs. Front, electromagnetism. Back, a branch of physical science that deals with the interaction of electricity and magnetism. Front, a technician finds a blown fuse in the driver information circuit. What should he do next? Back, check affected circuit for a short to ground. A short to ground in the circuit will cause the fuse to blow due to the increased current flow through the circuit. Front, when using the ammeter function of a DMM digital multimeter, the red lead should be connected to what area of the connector? Back, side closest to positive side of battery. Based on Kirchhoff's voltage law, sum of voltage drops in any circuit will equal source voltage or voltage applied to circuit. Front, electromagnetic clutch. Back, a device used to disengage the drive belt from the air conditioning compressor. Front, scan tool. Back, designed to retrieve trouble codes from the computer's memory and to display the codes as a number and words explaining the problem. Also checks the operation of vehicle sensors, actuators, wiring, and the computer itself. They connect to a diagnostic link, or test terminal, on the vehicle. They measure voltages or computer signals, providing the technician with information about the condition of numerous components and circuits. Also called a diagnostic readout tool. Front, test light. Back, a piece of test equipment that is frequently used to check a circuit for power continuity. Most have a sharp probe for touching conductors and an alligator clip for grounding. Also called a continuity tester. Front, Technician A says to test for maximum current output. The battery must be loaded to force the generator to produce its maximum output. Technician B says after disassembly, all AC generator internal components should be tested using an ammeter. Who is right? Back of only. Technician A is right and Technician B is wrong because the tool to be used is an ohm meter as part of a DMM digital multimeter. Front, electromotive force EMF. Back, the electrical force, or pressure, that pushes free electrons and causes current. It is also referred to as voltage or potential difference. Front, amperes. Back, the